Some terminology before reading. CDC means Central for Disease Control. VAERS means Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. IMCV means International Medical Council on Vaccines. Present perfect tense. Measles vaccines kill more people than measles, CDC data proves. Parents concerned about their vaccinated children potentially contracting measles from unvaccinated children may want to consider the fact that the bigger health threat is technically the vaccine, not the disease itself. Comparative data provided by the US CDC and the VAERS reveal that nobody has died from measles in more than 10 years, while at least 108 deaths reported in VAERS during the same time frame have been linked to measles vaccines. Many of our older readers probably remember a time when measles wasn't viewed with the obscene level of paranoid hysterics being witnessed today. Like chickenpox, measles was a common childhood infection that, after running its typical mild course, imparted lifelong immunity in those who contracted it. The risk of serious complications or death from measles has always been overwhelmingly minimal. In other words, with previous generations viewing it as something as a rite of passage. Fast forward to today, and all rationality and common sense has gone out the window on this issue. The media is reporting a few isolated cases of measles as if it were the Black Plague, calling for those who don't vaccinate their children to be ostracized from their communities or even jailed for putting others at unnecessary risk. But where are the facts in all this unsubstantiated mania, which unfairly tags the unvaccinated as dangerous lepers? Once again, the media is discarding factual reporting in favor of mindless sensationalism, attributing an alleged measles resurgence. Even this claim is suspicious to the unvaccinated. Whether or not this claim is actually true pales in importance compared to the fact that measles really isn't much of a threat in the first place. The measles vaccine, on the other hand, is a whole different story. There have been no measles deaths reported in the US since 2003. The Associated Press reported, based off statements made by Dr. Ann Shushat, director of CDC's National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases. Meanwhile, VAERS, which captures only a very small percentage of the actual number of injuries and deaths associated with measles vaccines, reports at least 108 deaths associated with measles vaccines since 2003. Of these, a shocking 96 deaths were reported in conjunction with MMR, which is now the preferred vaccine for measles immunization. Measles deaths were virtually non-existent prior to the introduction of the vaccine, which is now triggering outbreaks. Some will try to argue that measles deaths are essentially non-existent now because of measles vaccines, the first of which was introduced in 1963. But this argument holds no water. U.S. measles mortality data shows that deaths from measles rapidly declined in the years leading up to when the first vaccine was introduced, validating the success of improved sanitation and better nutrition in making measles a non-problem. What you may not have heard is that by 1963, the death rate from measles in the United States had already dropped by approximately 98%, explains the International Medical Council on Vaccinations. Not long after it was introduced, the first measles vaccine was actually found to manifest worse symptoms of measles in vaccinated patients than if they hadn't gotten the vaccine at all. The vaccine also suppressed normal rash and fever associated with measles, obstructing the normal immune response and ultimately leading to future health problems for vaccinated individuals once they reached adulthood. Whereas natural measles exposure generally left the person with reliable lifelong immunity, measles vaccines leave the individual with waning immunity. This dynamic of waning immunity means we will probably see measles epidemics even in highly vaccinated population, says the IMCV.